no place like the Q.
Queer news, queer news, queer
Family, this is your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn, and this is Queer News, your favorite weekly news pod where race and sexuality meet politics, culture, and entertainment. This is your number one stop for queer news done right, only on E3 Radio.
If you have something to say, if there's an art that you're passionate about, LL Cool J, and this is a random person to quote, but he said something a long time ago that really resonated with me, and that was, dreams don't have deadlines. And that really stuck with me because I think now we're living in a time where we're seeing people succeed well into their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And I think that success doesn't have an expiration date. I think that everyone is just one project away from having it all.
Dreams don't have deadlines. I know someone listening needed to hear that. I know I always need that reminder. And Jim wasn't done, okay? Because then he said, everyone is just one project away from having it all. Come on, Jim. This was some much needed inspiration. And family, if you don't know, if you weren't listening last week, that was Jim Veraros, okay? Former American Idol contestant from the inaugural season in 2002 who came out as gay at 19 years old. Well, now he's back with his first major studio release in 15 years, titled Explicit. It dropped on August 8th, and the interview will drop this week for the QCrew. QCrew, what's going on? Thank you for your continued commitment to financially sustaining this podcast. It's hard out here, okay? If you don't know podcast news, Wondery just laid off 110 people in this industry. The business side of podcasting is hard. The consumer side is booming, but the business side is hard. So if you believe in this work, if you believe LGBTQ stories need to be amplified, if you love and respect how I report on the news and tell our stories, join the QCrew, okay? It starts as low as $5 a month. And the link is where? In the show notes. And family, do you have a local news story not getting enough amplification, a queer organization other folks should know about? Are you an artist and you got a song coming out? Send me a queer news tip. I love hearing about all of them. I love playing them on the show. Keep them coming, okay? Info on how to submit is where? Come on now. We know this in the show notes. Now for the news. In politics, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey signed SHIELD Act 2.0, expanding protections for abortion and gender-affirming care. Nationally, the Supreme Court has been asked to overturn same-sex marriage. We knew this was coming, but let's get into the details. In culture and entertainment, a Black lesbian couple in Virginia survived a racially charged roadside attack, and they need our support. GoFundMe links are already in the show notes. UCLA is standing firm against the Trump administration. Thank God somebody is. And fashion designer Rick Owens has launched an OnlyFans account, and you will not believe what he's selling, but he's raising money for a trans shelter in France, so we support this. Let's get into it. Family, let's start with some good news, okay? And this just happens to be political. In Massachusetts, Governor Maura Healey, the nation's first out lesbian governor, has signed SHIELD Act 2.0 into law. Now, I'm sure you're asking, Anna, what is the SHIELD Act 2.0? Well, it expands protections for abortion and gender-affirming care, and we love that. And I feel like I can confidently say we, because if you're listening to this podcast, I know that is something you care about too. The new measure updates the state's original 2022 SHIELD law, which was passed after Roe was overturned. Now, the SHIELD Act 2.0 goes even further than 1.0, okay? It limits the release of personal data, allows prescription labels to show only the practice name instead of the individual donor, and codifies the right to emergency medically necessary abortions. Governor Healey said, Massachusetts will always be a state where patients can access high-quality health care and providers are able to do their jobs without government interference. She went on to say, from the moment Roe was overturned, we stepped up to pass strong protections for patients and providers, and with President Trump and his allies continuing their assaults on health care, we're taking those protections to the next level. No one is going to prevent the people of Massachusetts from getting the health care they need. Come on, Governor Healey. And I love this. There's more to this story, family, but I want to stop here and say this. I love this because as the right and the alt-right continue to escalate, so do we. We have to escalate in these ways, especially politically. And Governor Healey's lieutenant governor, Kim Driscoll, of course agrees. She said, providers will not be intimidated or punished for offering life-saving care. The bill passed with strong Democratic support, though a handful of lawmakers, including 4 Democrats, voted against it. And I hope whoever those 4 Democrats are in Massachusetts get voted out for some new Democrats, okay? Massachusetts House Judiciary Chair Michael Day said the update was urgently needed in the face of what he calls wild rhetoric from Trump, Republican leaders, and even some within Massachusetts. He reminded critics that protecting rights means protecting everyone, even those who, quote, might not look like you, talk like you, or live their lives in a way that you don't like. All of this comes, right, family, as the Trump administration continues to escalate its attacks on reproductive and trans health care across the country, threatening funding, pushing, right, a federal abortion ban, and trying to block access to gender-affirming care at every turn. This is why Healey and advocates say that this law is not just symbolic, but a shield. You see what they did there? A shield against very real political pressure. GLAAD's Polly Kozer said it clearly, political threats or intimidation should never deny people the health care they need. Massachusetts is making it clear that in that state, care will be protected. And as always, family, I'm hoping that other states see what Massachusetts is doing and they replicate it in their state. That's what we need. That's the type of escalation I'm talking about, okay? All right, family, let's take a quick turn, because I'm sure, as you all have already heard, the Supreme Court has been formally asked to overturn marriage equality. Yeah, by now, I know you've probably heard this news. It broke shortly after last week's episode was published, and I put out my own videos about it. And at some level, we all knew this was coming. I mean, this is the same Supreme Court that overturned Roe v. Wade, and that was the law of the land for nearly 49 years. So allow me to remind you that marriage equality has only been the law of the land for 10. And the right's favorite Supreme Court Justice, Clarence Thomas, has been waiting for this moment. Now, do you all remember Kim Davis from 10 years ago? Y'all remember she didn't want to issue same-sex marriage certificates after the Obergefell decision, even though she worked in the clerk's office for the state of Kentucky, and she cited her religious beliefs. Y'all remember that? Now, 10 years ago, she was found in contempt of court by a federal judge. She spent 6 days in jail. She was ordered to pay $100,000 in emotional damages to the plaintiffs, and she was ordered to pay $260,000 in attorney fees. And let's be clear, she has been fighting this ruling ever since. She's become a spokesperson for the right, for standing on her religious beliefs, and you know how much they love that. But up until this point, all the lower courts have said there's nothing else to do here, okay? There's nothing else to discuss. They have dismissed it. They have dismissed her appeals, basically saying, please just go away. But today we're in Trump's America. We are in an alt-right climate right now, and we have a federal administration in love with the Confederacy and hating on queer people. And so now, The Supreme Court has her case. And now we have no idea what's going to happen next. I have read attorney opinions that say the Supreme Court will absolutely never hear this case. I have also read attorney opinions that say the Supreme Court will absolutely hear this case. And let me tell you what I know to be true. We are living in Trump's America, where absolutely anything is possible. In Trump's America. So let's just say, family, the Supreme Court does in fact hear this case. I have no doubt that the Supreme Court will absolutely overturn same-sex marriage. There's no doubt in my mind. And if that does in fact happen, same-sex marriage then goes to the states. And there are states that still have not codified same-sex marriage into their state law. As a matter of fact, the majority of states still ban marriage equality in their state law. Oh, can we take a deep breath? But can I give a little bright light in the midst of all of this? The real bright light is the Respect for Marriage Act that was introduced by Senator Tammy Baldwin in 2022 and signed into law by President Biden. Now that is the bright light in this moment. This is one of very few federal laws that center LGBTQ people, and it was put into place in case this doomsday moment was to ever occur. And here we are. Now, this law doesn't codify it either, but it provides some protections, right? Very important protections, not only for us, but also for interracial marriages. It is wild to me that I'm saying that out loud, like interracial marriage too. As documented by Charlotte Clymer on her Substack, Charlotte's Web Thoughts, okay? Good stuff here, family. She outlines two major points of the Respect for Marriage Act. One, it requires the federal government to recognize same-sex marriage licenses. If Obergefell should fall, the federal government would still protect those marriages in every aspect under its purview. Everything from Social Security benefits to military families. Number two, it requires states refusing to issue same-sex marriage licenses to still recognize those licenses issued in states where it is legal. Okay? So I live in Illinois. I am married. If I was to go somewhere else like Texas, where it could seemingly not be legal anymore, if Obergefell was to fall, Texas would still have to recognize my marriage because of the Respect for Marriage Act, not because of the Supreme Court decision. You see what Senator Baldwin did there? So grateful, okay? Because otherwise, we'd be really. So thank you, Senator Baldwin. And to echo the sentiments of fellow reporter V Sphere of Under the Desk News, it is time to get prepared. This is the time to get your paperwork in order, okay? Do not take anything for granted. We should not have been doing that anyway, but it's easy. It's easy to feel like we're never going back, okay? It's easy to feel that way, but we're living in Trump's America now. And V posted an incredibly helpful video about the 9 pieces of legal paperwork you need to fully protect your marriage, courtesy of the gay lawyer who helped V sort through all of this information. Now, the legal documents are the revocable living trust, your last will and testament, healthcare power of attorney, durable power of attorney, your living will, 2 forms of hospital visitation authorization, agent for disposition of remains, pet care directive, which I know is important for us, okay, and tangible personal property memorandum. These are 9 legal documents that you need if this does take place. Now, I've included a link to V's Substack and V's video about these legal documents in the show notes, okay? Go read, watch, learn, and then go do, okay? And I'm going to keep following this story because this one right here is probably more important than anything that I can report on right now. And if you're like me, I need a break. Let's take a quick break. Let's pay some bills, okay? Grateful for our advertisers here on the Queer News Podcast. And we'll be right back after this break.
You've got the drive.
You got the ideas. Now it's time to cash in. We have a promotion that Focal Point has never done before. Dulcie has gone crazy with this one. The heat has gotten to her, and you want to sign up now before she comes to her senses. Now imagine, family, if you could get paid for your goal achievement. No fluff, no filler, just real strategy, real wins, and your money back. If you're done with distractions and ready to start seeing the payoff your hustle deserves, sign up and make the next 90 days count. Get focused, get paid. Welcome to Focal Point. Enroll now at focalpoint4u.com. That's Focal Point, the number 4, the letter U.com. Family, you won't believe this. Queer News is going on vinyl. That's right. Queer News is going to be on an album. We are producing the first ever album of Black and Brown voices, 13 to be exact. Join the movement of preserving our voices and our stories. Order yours by August 31st at thecube.app, THEQUBE.app. By August 31st, don't miss it. It will be a collector's item.
Mental health parity is the law requiring that your health insurance coverage for mental health or substance use disorders is no more restrictive than coverage for your physical health. Learn more about mental health parity laws at getcoveredillinois.gov.
Chicago, the Office of the City Clerk is launching its Mobile City Hall initiative to bring local services directly to your neighborhood. Residents will have the opportunity to get a free city key, purchase their city stickers, residential parking permits, and dog licenses at Mobile City Hall. Mobile City Hall will be in 7 different locations this August and September. To find the location nearest to you, visit shycityclerk.com. Mobile City Hall, bringing city government to you. Family, welcome back to the show. Now let's get into some culture and entertainment news. For our top story in culture this week, it's truly an awful story, and it is a hate crime, and I want to give you a moment. I want to give you a moment to fast forward in case it's a bit too much right now. This is why I include the time codes in the show notes, because sometimes it is just too much. But this is why this podcast is important. This is why I do this podcast every single week, why I wake up at 3 a.m. to work on this podcast, because these are the stories we need to know, but at the same time, sometimes we can't take it all in. So I'm just going to give you a few moments. Okay, very good. Family, what should have been an ordinary roadside stop in rural Virginia turned into a nightmare for a Black lesbian couple, Amila Majors and Jamaria Gaskins. On July 20th, the women pulled over on Partlow Road after hitting some debris. Instead of help, they say 3 white locals emerged, shouting racial slurs, and you know which ones they were, at them, and telling them they didn't belong there. One even exposed himself, another pointed a gun, and soon they were being chased down the road. Amila said, one of them rode up beside us on a 4-wheeler and aimed a gun directly at my head. In that moment, we truly believed we weren't going to make it out alive. Moments later, family, their car crashed. Amila was ejected from the car. When she woke up, she was in the hospital with a fractured spine, broken clavicle, broken rib, and severe head injuries. Amila went on to say on the GoFundMe page that this was not just an accident. This was an attempted act of violence meant to harm and silence us. Today, 2 suspects face misdemeanor charges, Elizabeth Wolfrey, 32, and Mark Goodman, 59. Elizabeth was charged with brandishing a firearm, while Mark was charged with indecent exposure. Now, a third person involved has not yet been charged, but The Spotsylvania NAACP and civil rights advocates are demanding hate crime charges be filed. Now, these two are scheduled to appear in court on November the 20th. In the meantime, family Amila and Jamaria have launched a GoFundMe to cover medical bills, trauma therapy, and the cost of rebuilding their lives. I've included the link to their GoFundMe. Where is it? Say it with me, in the show notes. Now, another warning, okay? The GoFundMe does include pictures of the incident and Amila's injuries. It's heartbreaking. This is what it means to be living in America right now. So if you have some dollars to support, please consider it, okay? Please consider it. In more culture news, UCLA is standing its ground against the Trump administration for standing up to the Trump administration in this moment. And at least they're doing it for now, because it has been impossible for these universities to sustain these demands, okay? But for now, UCLA has rejected it. Okay, rejected restoring their federal funding, which reportedly included $1 billion settlement. Family, I didn't say $1 million. I said $1 billion settlement to end their diversity and equity programs and to roll back transgender rights on campus. It is worth $1 billion to them. The demands would have banned trans students from sports, dorms, bathrooms aligned with their gender identity, while also halting gender-affirming care at UCLA's hospital and medical school. We already know what's been happening, don't we? At other prestigious universities, Columbia, Penn, Brown, have all caved on some level to the Trump administration. And you know who's losing? Our trans siblings. Our trans siblings are losing, which means we're all losing. UC President James Milliken and UCLA Chancellor Julio Frank released a statement calling the settlement devastating and warning that it would harm students, Californians, and vital research. Governor Gavin Newsom also weighed in, accusing Trump of political extortion and vowing that California will not bow. Well, family, still though, legal teams are reviewing next steps. And you already know the fight is far from over. With 300 federal grants already frozen, the standoff between UCLA and the Trump administration is testing whether America's top public university system will hold the line or eventually cave like the others. It's so impossible, family. We'll see what they decide to do. But for today, right now in this moment, we gonna clap it up, okay, for UCLA. For our last story, this is the epitome of thinking outside the box, okay? I can't wait to tell y'all this one. Fashion legend Rick Owens has launched an OnlyFans account. And you know it's a twist to it, okay? He is selling videos. He's selling videos of his feet. With every dollar going to support a trans shelter in France. Rick announced the move alongside his Temple of Love exhibition in Paris. He explained that proceeds from his OnlyFans page that starts at a $5 subscription fee will benefit La Mansion de Alana, a shelter founded by trans pioneer Alana Starr. The shelter provides housing, mentorship, and resources for at-risk trans youth and LGBTQ+ refugees who often face housing instability, exploitation, and violence. Rick even connects the project to art history. Child, he got the nerve to connect this project to art history. So while he's showing y'all his feet, he is referencing a 19th century Italian aristocrat, Contessa, who famously posed for foot portraits later in her life, as she felt like in her older age, her beauty had faded. So she decided, for the rest of my life, I'm gonna take foot photos. Okay? And so he says the videos explore ideas of vanity, aging, and self-display. In response, Alana Starr thanked Rick for using his platform to bring attention to a part of the LGBTQ community that is often overlooked. She called the gesture both generous and deeply human, saying it shines a light on the urgent need to protect the most vulnerable among us. I love this, okay? Am I going to watch some feet? Absolutely not. But do I know that there are people who have feet fetishes? I absolutely know that. So here's to running up his OnlyFans, okay? And being able to donate a hell of a lot of money to this shelter doing such amazing work in France. Get that money, Rick. Come on now. Y'all know it's time for Anna's Got a Word because Anna's always got a word. And my words today are be prepared. I hope you heard that in the marriage equality story. In this moment, you need to be prepared. As I see what's happening in DC, what Trump is doing in DC, militarizing law enforcement on the people of DC, please, family, be prepared. DC is first. They will not be the last. Do you have your go bag ready? Do you have all your paperwork in order? This is the season to be prepared and not to take anything for granted. If you do not appear as a white cis man in America right now, what do I need you to do? Come on, say it with me. I know you're working out. I know you're washing some dishes. I know you're driving to work. I know you're riding the train. You on the bus. What you doing right now? Say it with me, okay? Either out loud or to yourself. Come on. Be prepared. Love yourself enough, love your family enough to get and be prepared. I love y'all, okay? Till next week. Peace.
Queer news, queer news, queer news.
If you've enjoyed what you heard, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is written and produced by me, Anna DeShawn. Podcast editing by Ryan Woodhall. And brought to you by E3 Radio and distributed on The Cube. We are Queer News Done Right.